evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again. This is Empire State of Baseball, episode number 78, season 3, episode number 1, on April 1st of the year 2024. Well, gentlemen, we've made it to a third season on this show, officially the very first of that season. And listen, let me tell you what, it's been a fun ride these last 2 years. I know kicking things off in 2022. Last year, again, was even better. We continued to grow. And this year, I think we're in store for a really big year, an exciting year. And we also have a little bit of games to talk about, too, because baseball started early this year at the end of March. Joe, how are you feeling on this Monday night?
Well, I'm happy. I had a great Easter with my family. I hope everybody who does celebrate Easter had a great Easter as well. I'm upset from a Mets perspective, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But overall, I had some good food the last few days, so I'm happy from a personal, contentness standpoint. But as my sports fandom goes, it's been rough sailing, Captain.
Yeah, not a fun start if you're a Met fan, but a very fun start if you're a Yankee fan. So, Tom, I'm guessing you really had a fun weekend this weekend.
Sure did. Even outside the Yankees, we had some good weather here. Got some golfing. Also had some Easter, some good food there. But guys, Juan Soto is awesome. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but that guy, he's neat, and I really would like him to be on the Yankees for the next 15 years.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's going to be a storyline throughout the season into the beginning rather of the off season. But yes, as Corey mentioned, this is season 3. And as Joe mentioned, happy belated Easter and happy Ramadan, the ongoing Ramadan holiday, and whatever holidays you celebrate this time of year. It is spring. The biggest holiday, of course, that I was celebrating was opening day. And opening day, once again, kicked off traditionally last week. Can't really even talk about that Seoul Korea series, but the Yankees and Mets got underway, already creating headlines in 2 opposing ways, which we're going to get into shortly. But Corey, Favs, before I throw it to you for the lineup, let's take a look at our chat here. And again, over the last
chat's
month,
lit.
Chat's been amazing. And once again, we got 42 people in the building, not even 2 minutes into the damn thing. We got Future Yanks. What's up, Future? Yeah. The gang is here. The gang is all here. AI or Al? I think it's AI. I don't know. I can't
That's
tell.
an Al.
I'm kind of blind today. Jack Esposito, my man. Staten Island represents season 3. Let's go. The crew is here, and so is Chris Nieves over at Yankees Pod. Give Yankees Pod a follow. They go live on Space on X, but between 12 and 1 o'clock every day. We have Sierra in the building. What's up, Sierra? How you doing? Make sure to check out Sierra and Future and Hitman over on Yankees Vibes from 7 to 8. They just handed the ball over to us here. So we thank you for it. And hopefully we entertain you guys today. Michael Caputo is here. Hey, Rich, what's going on, brother? What's going on, Michael? Michael's got to be in a good mood. 4-0. Yankees sweeping the Astros. We'll get more into that a little bit. TC Steels from Yanks Morning Brew. Give them a follow at Yanks Brew over at the Morning Brew Sports Network. We got Pinstripes Chronicle podcast. That's my guy, Uncle Tats. Give them a follow and some love on their channel as well. They do amazing work. Oh, and speaking of Morning Brew Sports, there they are, Morning Brew. That's my guy, Hector, right there. Give Hector a follow at Brew Crew Sports on X. Hitman over at Yankees Vibe. All the shout-outs keep on coming. Mike Parziali says, free Corey. It's another season, which means another season of free and Corey. Corey, you need to be freed again, I guess, in 2024. I don't know.
Well, I free.
Dane Huber in the building. I can't wait to be freed from these shout-outs. There's so many of them. El Mano, my guy, Ghost. And I think that covers everybody. But thank you all for joining us here for Season 3, Episode 78 of Empire State of Baseball. Corey Favs, what's our lineup for our 55 folks in the building?
Well, listen, we got a nice show today for Season 3, Episode 1. And we're going to start first with the Empire Express, giving you the latest in New York baseball news. Again, complete opposite news from the Mets and the Yankees this weekend. So we'll get into that in a second. We're then going to go to Chooch's pick of the week. So for those of you who've been following us the last 2 seasons, our good friend, the Chooch himself, will go through, give us his series pick of the week, run through some other items that he wants to share with the team. So everyone keep an eye out for that coming up. And then we're going to end this week's show with a head-to-head segment. Again, we do this at the start of each season where we compare the New York Mets against the New York Yankees position by position to see which teams have the advantage in which spot. And we're going to end it with a good old game segment, Trick of the Trade. This is a returning game segment where two of our hosts put up a trade, which an actual trade that took place in history. Typically, we try to keep it to the Mets and the Yankees both. And it's our job to try and guess who those missing players are in that trade. So that'll be coming up momentarily. But we're going to jump right into some baseball here. And right now, let me tell you something. Mets and Yankees could not be polar opposite. The Mets are looking for a March mulligan and forget the last few days of March. And for the Yankees, not only are you coming off a 4-game sweep, but you're coming off a 4-game sweep of a really hated rival as of late in the Astros. And I got to tell you something, too, with the Mets. I mean, right now, again, I don't want to panic too early. I'm seeing a lot of people screaming, fire Mendoza, get rid of this player, the season's over. Listen, we got a long way to go. Am I happy? No, absolutely not. I'm not happy. You're starting to see a lot of the same issues this team had last year, lacking offense, and they get some offense, and then the pitching was terrible. So things aren't clicking at the right time. But again, it's only a 3-game set. For all we know, they could sweep the Tigers this series and be back to 500. But, Joe, what are your thoughts on the New York Mets and what went down this weekend? Because I know there was a lot of news outside of just the 0-3 start.
Yeah, I mean, the 0-3 start is the tip of the iceberg. We started off on opening day in the 8th inning with Jeff McNeil getting taken out in a slide by Rhys Hoskins, which caused a benches clearing incident. This then carried over into the next game, where Yohan Ramirez proceeded to throw behind the head of Rhys Hoskins, get himself ejected and suspended, and not only that, made the Mets look even more foolish than they had been by being swept. Listen, I'm a diehard Met fan. I support my team and my guys, but at the same time, being a fan or in any walk of life, being supportive of things that you think are wrong is not the right way to go. So for me as a Met fan, regardless of what other Met fans think, I'm going to speak my opinion. And the fact of the matter is the Mets look awful. They look like a joke from this weekend. We'll start with the McNeil and Hoskins slide. Regardless of what happened between McNeil and Hoskins, regardless of whether or not there's a history, we know Hoskins has had a couple slides in the past into McNeil to break up a double play. The videos that have been released on it don't have extensive replays on that. All right. So I can't go into depth on if this has happened before. As far as this slide is concerned, was it a little late? Probably. Did he come in and spike his ankle and roll up on his leg? Probably. McNeil knows better than anybody because he's on the receiving end of it. Fine. You want to get mad at Hoskins? Fine. Great. Yell at him, scream at him, bench is clear. That's it. Everybody goes their separate ways. If you got a problem with Hoskins, you tell him. And Hoskins clearly didn't want to engage. He ran back to the dugout. But I get it. McNeil's the guy who gets spiked up. McNeil's the guy who got rolled over. I'll leave that to him. Where the Mets gone wrong here is the fact that we turned around the following day and not only threw at Hoskins, we waited until the 7th inning to throw behind his head after he beat your brains in with a bat and dragged your corpse around the field for 7 innings. He hit a ball to Mars and killed the guy in the 5th row with the beer in his hand. And we're sitting there, we're throwing with the guy in the 7th inning. If you're going to throw at the guy, throw at the guy in the 1st inning. Brush him back. Do what Syndergaard did to Escobar in the World Series. You want to send a message, that's the way to do it. But to wait till the guy's been on base 4 times in the 7th inning, then to throw at him is a joke. It makes you look like a joke. It makes you look like you're throwing at the guy, not because you're mad at him, but because you can't get the guy out. It makes the Mets look pathetic start to finish. And if they handled their business properly, this would have been done in the 1st inning. You didn't even have to hit him to send the message. But no, we got this whole thing. Yohan Ramirez is claiming he didn't throw at him intentionally. We know that. it isn't true. If you look at the replay and look at the way he recoils, his arm finishes behind his body. There's no way you could convince me he wasn't throwing at him. And this whole entire thing was handled wrong. And part of this is on the manager. Part of this is on Mendoza. This didn't happen when Buck Showalter was here. Why? Because Buck Showalter knew how to snuff things out from day one. We have a rookie manager in a situation that a rookie manager shouldn't be in 3 games into the season, and this is what happens. So now all of a sudden we got this huge thing, and the Mets are 0-3. They've become a joke. McNeil's torqued off. The team looks terrible, like they weren't ready to play, and now we're in misery for the first part of the season.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a worse start from the New York Mets, both from a performance standpoint and all the other antics that went with it. And I know a lot of people are really starting to get annoyed with Jeff McNeil. And it's crazy to see how McNeil's career is starting to develop, because when he came up, I mean, this was a consistent line drive, gap-to-gap hitter, a guy who could hit 325 plus in any given year. And granted, he did win a batting title just a few years ago, but I don't know what happened to him. Every once in a while, he gets into these power strokes where he tries to slug home runs, and then his average dips into the 200s. Now, last year, and you're seeing it this year too, he's becoming a slap hitter. And the problem with him slap hitting is he's not even getting on base. So all of a sudden, you're taking a pure line drive hitter who's not even getting the ball out of the infield, it seems, right now. And every time I see something with McNeil, too, it's always with frustration. He's either mad at himself, mad at someone else, and you're really seeing that come out this weekend with Rhys Hoskins. And I know there's a history there. I know there's a history with Rhys Hoskins. Don't get me wrong. But I did not really like how this whole thing with Jeff McNeil and Hoskins played out this weekend, and how the Mets handled it the day after. It's frustrating. But thankfully, it's a new month, ironically, just 3 days in. And hopefully the page turns, because it really couldn't have gone any worse for the Mets.
There's a fine line between playing fiery, playing hustle, Johnny Hustle, like playing scrappy, and playing frustrated. And in Jeff McNeil's case, the biggest problem with Jeff McNeil, we know he has the ability to do things. Why does he have the ability to do things? Because he hustles and plays the game hard. But what he has been able to not understand in his career is baseball is a game where you're going to fail more than you succeed. And for McNeil, he doesn't move on into inning. He doesn't move on AB to AB. He dwells on the last at bat. He dwells on the last error in the field. And for a guy like McNeil, that is a poison for you. And when other people like a Hoskins, like other teams, see that you get frustrated and you carry at bat 1 into at bat 2 into at bat 3, they know they can wear you down mentally. And that's the thing with Jeff. He has to go up, and every at bat is a new battle. He can't worry about the other stuff. And that's the thing that he's been fighting his whole career. Just like last year, he was getting jammed in every single at bat. They were pitching him in, pitching him in, pitching him in. Why? Because the scouting report said he can't hit that. But what happens? He gets jammed the first at bat and then gets an opportunity the second at bat. He's still worried about what happened the first at bat. He can't let it go. And that's my problem with Jeff. I don't mind the fire. I don't mind the hustle. I don't mind the passion. I need him to direct it to a better avenue than taking it out, A, on himself, and B, on players around him.
Listen, Jeff,
on his team or other teams.
Jeff McNeil embarrassed himself this weekend, frankly. The way I understand getting upset if you get spiked. I've played sports long enough. You get an elbow, you get spiked, you get pushed. It happens. You get pissed in the moment. That's where it should have ended. And then the fact that Hoskins got up and said, like, I'm just going to walk away from this, and then gets to the dugout. McNeil is still yapping. Hoskins had enough time to go to the bat rack, put his helmet away, was on the railing, and McNeil is still yelling about it. And that's when he hit him with the crybaby emoji, or the crybaby, look. Yeah. McNeil has to get over. And then, frankly, his reaction is what caused someone on the Mets at that point. Someone had to protect him and had to throw at Hoskins. The Mets didn't handle that well. And then, honestly, again, hats off to Hoskins. I think Mets fans are getting pretty upset with me over the weekend on Twitter, but Hoskins prevented 2 different brawls from happening. If Hoskins gets up in McNeil's face, there is a fight in that opening day game. And if Hoskins, after getting the ball thrown behind him, rightfully wants to punch what's his name in
Johan
the face, Ramirez in the face, which he would be well within his right, and he just stood there. He was the bigger man in the situation. Was the slide late? Maybe a little bit, but it was legal. Listen, sports in 2024, we see this, if you're a football fan, hockey, basketball, what do people say? Like, oh, they're so soft now. It's because they're always protecting players, and there's so many more rules to make sure players don't get hurt and all that type of stuff. They reviewed the play and they said it was legal. If that play is legal, they didn't review it to see if McNeil, was got the transfer or whatever. They reviewed it to see if Hoskins' slide was legal. If that play is legal in 2024, that means it would have been like an amateur play back in like the 90s and the 80s. Like people would have laughed at this. It's a joke the way McNeil carried on, and frankly, he could have gotten someone else on his team hit, because after Hoskins got thrown behind his head, the Brewers were well within their right to try to retaliate, and they didn't.
Again, my bigger issue is with the Ramirez stuff. I get,
but Ramirez has to do that because of how McNeil reacted. If McNeil yells, gets pissed, and then walks away from it, he doesn't have to do it.
But if Jeff's upset because Hoskins has done this before, and again, we've seen some videos where Hoskins is going in, we don't have extended looks at that. I'll take McNeil at his word that Hoskins has a history of doing this, which, again, Hoskins has always been a thorn in the Mets' side. So I'm not necessarily condemning all of what McNeil was feeling. I
don't condemn his feelings in the moment
out on them. There's you don't let a guy beat your brains in and then throw at him when you can't get him out. Correct. If you're going to do it, you're going to do it from day one or not do it at all. And that's the problem I had with it. Again, if McNeil wants to be upset and him and Hoskins have that conversation, so be it. If Hoskins wants to avoid it and run to the dugout, that was his priority. Hoskins wasn't upset at it because he knew he got to McNeil. So my problem is less with McNeil in that situation, more with McNeil overall, and more so with Johan Ramirez and the way the Mets went about that in Game 2.
I'm not going to be the type to – I'll just give my quick thoughts on it, then we'll move on to the Yankees part of the house. I'm not going to promote violence and the benches clearing brawl aspect of baseball, although admittedly and selfishly it's a little bit of fun. But in that situation, those two should have duked it right at second base. That situation should have been handled right there where the play happened. There should not have been any carry effect because I think, Joe, you mentioned it perfectly.
Hoskins should get in a fight for playing baseball?
Well, listen, if McNeil's going to be the agitator there, they could have handled their business right then and there. You wouldn't have had the fracas that turned into what essentially 2/3 of that weekend, Tom. If they had that issue, if they handled that issue right there at second base, there would be more of a story than that.
He doesn't want to get suspended. He doesn't want to deal with this. He played baseball. He played baseball, and Jeff McNeil got upset about it.
So, and listen, when it comes down to it, Jeff McNeil had his history of being an agitator. We remember the whole deal with Lindor, and I can't sit here and say, oh, it's McNeil's fault, it's Lindor's fault. He's had these kind of issues in the past. Hoskins has been an agitator himself. They both looked bad in the situation, despite it being a legal slide, even though it was kind of high. It is what it is. The issue should have been handled right there at second base and not be a carryover and not be a story for the rest of that game and series. And the focus should have been put back on baseball. I'm not promoting violence and benches clearing brawls, but it should have been handled right there.
I guess Hoskins should apologize for getting singles too, because that's also part of the game.
The problem is the rule.
He did nothing wrong.
The rules have now become a point where they've taken any contact out of the game of baseball. Whether you agree with that or not, that's just the reality of the situation. That slide's not even talked about 10 years ago, pre-Posey injury or pre-Tejada and Utley slide. That slide's not talked about. That's a common thing of the game. But now it's almost where the rule wants to semi-police it to the point where you're not really supposed to contact the player at all. So now anytime players do get contacted, it's kind of like men's league softball where like you're really not supposed to be taking out 45-year-old guys' legs in men's league softball sliding into second.
No.
So the MLB has kind of created this culture where it's frowned upon to contact a player on the other team, and therefore situations like this come up.
Yeah.
I see both sides because I was there when Tejada got his legs broken by Utley. I felt that was not a baseball play, that it was basically a tackle. I also see it on the other side in this situation where even though McNeil might have gotten spiked, and whether or not you deem that's intentional, it wasn't an overtly dirty slide, at least from the outside looking in. So it's really hard to find that line. Baseball's been struggling it, and baseball's also taken the ability for the players to police themselves completely out of the game. These situations are now handled via suspension. They are not handled on the field anymore.
Let's move forward to the Yankee side of the house, and real quick before we get there, had a few more people join us. NFB, the Strike Zone, give him a shout and a subscribe over on his channel. The Shifting Soul, hey, we got a Mets fan in the house, Joe and Corey. Shifting Soul, all right, where is my love for my burner account? Got love. Donnie Clark, salute to you, sir. My guy Andrew G, he was missing a broom there. He's missing a broom on that comment. He got one more. My guy Swift, what's going on? And Yankees predictions and stuff. Asking on Yankee record predictions, but we're not there yet. But we will talk New York Yankees baseball, and specifically the week they had, and they had quite the opposite weekend of the New York Metropolitans. The Yankees took not only just the series against their rival Houston Astros, they took all 4 games at Minute Maid Park to kick off the 2024 season. And it was some resilient victories in there, Thomas. What were some of your takeaways as we look at their team statistics throughout the first 4 games of the season as they head into Arizona tonight? Got to love some of these offensive and pitching numbers here. But, Tom, what are your takeaways from the 4-game set?
So there's the obvious ones. Juan Soto was awesome. Oswaldo Cabrera was incredible and clutch with the home runs that he had. The pitching, Rodon, although didn't go that deep, looked better. I really loved watching Stroman pitch. I just felt like he's out there. He's throwing strikes. He's attacking hitters. It was a lot of fun. I know Corey and Joe have a checkered past with Stroman, and maybe I'll have a different tone come June. But right now, it is fun watching him pitch. Nestor struggled a little bit. I know I didn't watch a ton yesterday because it was Easter. So just there's the obvious things. The big thing that I took away was, and if you listen to the show last year, Yankee Twitter I felt was very split on Mr. Anthony Volpe. People either loved Volpe or they were disappointed with him, and I was someone who was pretty disappointed with him, frankly. I know he was a rookie, but I just felt like he wasn't the player he was supposed to be. He wasn't kind of showing the skills he was supposed to be showing at this stage. And he looked like a different guy. He was taking pitches, working counts, not swinging at balls. Like that was honestly one of the big things I took away was the team and just in general. And like, that was kind of like a microcosm of it. It was the team just, they were putting up professional at bats. They weren't just swinging at balls in the dirt, I guess, minus Stan. They were out there, they're battling, they're working the count, getting the starters, pitchers, pitch count up, and then getting to the Houston's bullpen that's supposed to be strong, and then absolutely tattered it. It's 4 games. They were in March, but you couldn't ask for any more. Like Yankee fans are excited, and that's I understand why. I think it was awesome. It was awesome watching that.
Donnie Clark calling for a 30-30 season for Anthony Volpe.
I hope
I want
not,
to highlight
because I don't want Anthony Volpe hitting 30 freaking home runs. Get on base. I don't need you hitting home runs, Anthony.
I agree with you. And Dane also a Volpe note here. Dane Huber, also give Dane a shout over at Yankees Farm. He does a great job covering every level of the minor leagues. He does prospect rankings, all this great stuff. Dane is a wonderful asset to Yankees Twitter. So give him a follow on X. I said Twitter and X in the same sentence. But I want to highlight Pinstripe Chronicles podcast here. This is Uncle Tats. We haven't seen their approach at the plate since the dynasty years. Break down the starter and attack the bullpen. And it was, 4 games in, and again, it's a small sample size. This is the Houston Astros, by the way. This is a great team. This team played a lot different. And credit to James Rowson, the new hitting coach. They shaked up a little bit of the analytics department here. I'm sure there's an impact there. But just adding a presence like Juan Soto to this has changed the game. What I've called Juan Soto is a disruptor. And this is what we've seen in a 4-game span. And right off the rip, Soto's out here batting like a crazy man. He's hitting 529,
yeah.
a 1.365 OPS, a homer, and 4 RBIs. I mean, right off the rip, just getting to a hot start. And by the way, when we take away from these 4 games, the Yankees are doing it without 2 of their biggest players. Judge, who's been lackadaisical in his at-bats, he has not been the same player that we're accustomed to over these last 4 days. And the obvious, Garrett Cole, which has been the story over the last month, not starting any of those games in Houston. It's a big impact right there. And for the Yankees, Oswaldo Cabrera is a great story this weekend. Marcus Stroman, who's mentioned in our chat from Sierra, had a great start. Rodon, I think, did a fine job in his first outing of the year. But a lot of positive notes coming out of the Yankees side of the house. And Corey, Favs, and Joe, I'll throw it to the contrarian side because, again, I'd love to dial it back a little bit to hear from the Mets side for once.
Yeah.
But Corey, Favs, your thoughts?
No, I'll bring up 3 points. I mean, obviously, first with the Yankees, I mean, you could not ask for a better start from Juan Soto. I mean, he saved the game in game 1 not with the bat, with the arm, and the amount of clutch RBIs he's been having in that first series was phenomenal. So Soto, a hell of an addition, and I'll tell you what, each game, that paycheck for next year is going up and up, but he is everything is advertised for the New York Yankees. 2 more points. One, great for the Yankees, and one, I'm going to throw a little bit of water on it. Obviously, with the Yankees, if you're a Yankee fan, you have every right now to be happy, to be excited, to be enthralled with your team. Because right now, you took a 4-game set against a team that's really been your thorn in the sides when it really matters. I mean, the Astros, they're a World Series champion. They just seem to be a constant playoff staple the last several years. Really have been the team to beat in the American League for a while. So to go out there, make a statement early, 4-game sweep. I mean, you can't ask for anything better on paper. The only water I want to throw on the fire right now is it is April 1st. I mean, all right, the Pirates are also undefeated. The Pirates are 5-0. The Pirates were 11 games over 500 on April 30th last year. You want to know where the Pirates finished? 10 games under 500. So one thing I've come to learn, especially over the last few years as the wild card continues to expand, which is absolutely ridiculous in a separate conversation, I really take baseball with a grain of salt prior to Memorial Day. I think really when you get to Memorial Day, that's when you can make a firm judgment of how your season's going and if your team's going to be a perennial buyer or a seller at the deadline. Because I've seen way too many instances, both good and bad, of teams getting off to phenomenal starts and being under 500 on July 31st, and teams that have been absolutely dreadful. I mean, look at the Phillies a couple years ago firing Girardi and making the World Series. Look at the Braves under 500 in July, winning the World Series. All right, I've seen way too many swings in record from teams good to bad or bad to good. So it's only week 1. It's only week 1. But if you're a Yankee fan, you have every right to be excited because of
and a big note. I'm going to throw it right to Joe and Corey. Those are great points there. And listen, at the end, even though this is from the rip, the Yankees did something really important. Not only did they make a statement in Houston, they took the season series from Houston right off the rip of the season. So if there comes a tiebreaker situation going into the playoffs, the Yankees have already won the tiebreaker because they only have 3 games left on the season against the Astros in early May. So very important series to win, and especially the sweep. But Joe, go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah, so listen, I mean, the Yankees should be excited. You know, listen, the problem with the Yankee construction in recent years is they really were built around Judge and Cole. Soto coming in changes that dynamic. They are not reliant now on 2 players to carry the team. And hopefully with some development from Volpe, hopefully with Verdugo being a seasoned pro and that kind of balance that they need in the lineup, that now equalizes itself. Soto certainly showed that he is willing to take the pressure off of Judge and Torres in the lineup because Judge and Torres basically had nothing this past week, which is fine. You win 4 games and those guys don't hit, that's usually a good sign going forward. That being said, Soto's not going to bat 600 going forward either. But listen, the Yankees should be excited. I'd still be a little worried about the pitching. Nestor didn't have a good first start. Stroman did pitch well. Rodon pitched well in 4 1/3 inning that he went. So I wouldn't be necessarily cautious or pessimistic on the Yankees from that perspective. You know, on the flip side, and I'll focus on Houston for an example, Houston's gotten off to a couple slow starts the last few years. Houston was clearly not ready to play. They looked like they left their bats in spring training. Jordan hit about 4 balls within a foot of the wall also. So there was a little I was watching the game, the last 2 games, and the Astros hit about 6 balls in the series that were a foot from going out. So listen, the Yankees should be excited. They're going in now to play Arizona, another playoff team, another team that was in the World Series last year. So, they're going to be challenged. Then they got the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'd be happy if I'm a Yankee fan. You got off to a great start, keep it going, but Judge has to get going. That's the important thing. And Torres has to get going, and they got to get solid starts out of that rotation. More so than just the 1 or 2 that they got at the end.
And real quick too, I just want to bring in a live game day update too. I mean, first of all, the New York Mets right now, this was a 7-10 game. They're already in the bottom of the 6th inning. And that's because Sean Manaea had a no-hitter. It actually just was given up with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Inning ended with a play at the plate, Nimmo getting the outfield assist from left field. So it is 0-0 in the bottom of the 6th. Mets have 2 hits. Detroit has 1.
Oh my goodness! That's a pitching duel out in they're in Detroit or they're back home.
No, City.
They're home.
They're City. Okay, or they're back home. No, they've been home. But anyway, we're gonna move forward. And before we get into our first is Chooch's pick of the week for the 2024 season, let's talk about the live stream. And of course, if you're here joining us on YouTube, we thank you so much. We have 89 people joined us here from various different streams. So if you're over on X and you're over on Twitch, we thank you for joining, but the party's over on YouTube. So come on over to YouTube, Empire State of Baseball, click on episode 78, and you'll join this fantastic chat, these great comments, going hard on Joe and Corey, the Mets fans over here. So, and also, if you have some Mets fans in your family, your friend, bring the Mets fans over here. We need a little Subway Series division in the chat. So let's get the Met fan numbers up here as we move along to the show. I know a lot of Yankee fans aren't asking for that, but it is what it is. 89 people, though, so that's awesome. And thank you guys for your support and jumping in for today's show. All right, we're going to move on to Chooch's pick of the week. And you heard it there from Hector right there. Smack the like button. Chooch's pick of the week. So for a lot of you here that weren't with us in 2023, our good old buddy, Matt Chooch Tooker, you give him a follow at mtook45 on Instagram and on X, throughout the season, gave his MLB series to watch throughout the week, made his picks, and then we would obviously react on it and talk on it, and we're going to do the same thing. It necessarily doesn't have to be a Yankees games. It doesn't have to be Mets games. It could be any games. But on top of doing the series pick, he's also got a player to watch as well. So with that said, for the first time in the 2024 season, let's throw it to Chooch for Chooch's pick of the week.
What's up, ESB crew? Welcome back for another season. Chooch is here. Chooch is glad to be back for the pick of the week here. And we're going to add a new aspect. We're going to look for the player to watch for this series that I picked this week. To kick off the season, we're going to take it all the way out to Seattle. Cleveland Guardians are playing Seattle Mariners this week starting tonight. 3-game set. And I picked this series because tomorrow's pitching matchup. Premier pitching matchup, Luis Castillo versus Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber had an excellent start to the season. Luis Castillo had an okay one. So that's why I'm going to go with Luis Castillo as my player to watch this week. Tomorrow night's game, premier pitching matchup versus the Cleveland Guardians. In the set, I think Seattle's pitching is going to overpower the Guardians. I think they're going to take the series 2-1. Cleveland may squeeze out the win tonight with Tristan McKenzie on the mound. But then they got Castillo and Kirby back-to-back. I think the Mariners, 2 out of 3. What do you guys got?
All right. So Chooch, of course, kicking off his seasonal pick of the week, and he's got the Mariners and Guardians in this set. So Corey, Favs, what are your thoughts on this series that Chooch had?
I think it's a good series, and I think it's one that really could go either way. The only reason I say that, I mean, Shane Bieber, you talk about a 2024 debut, 6 innings, 11 Ks. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more. So I do like the matchup. I think Luis Castillo is a good call out, but I want to call out Shane Bieber. I think he has the better series. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Guardians 2-1.
That's a great game to watch. I mean, Bieber versus Castillo. That's about as good a pitching matchup as you're going to get in this early season. So definitely, if I'm up, I'm going to check that game out in I think a few hours, right? But
Yep.
yeah, listen, I
Not
like
even.
Seattle. I've been on Seattle. I think they're my pick to win the AL West this year. They're my pick to go potentially to the World Series. So I love what Seattle has done. I think they have the best rotation in the sport, and they're lined up 1, 2, 3 here for this series. So I'm going to go Seattle. At least I think they're actually going to sweep Cleveland.
Oh,
I got an issue with the Chooch. Where is my leopard
already?
blanket?
It's his first one.
Where is the guys? Listen, I know we have a lot of new watchers and viewers this year, but last year Chooch had the leopard blanket. He had the leopard shirt. He had none of that. Basically, so his picks are just invalid to me.
I agree.
I need Chooch, bring back the leopard. We need you to be as Staten Island as you could possibly be.
100%.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna go with Joe here. I think the Mariners sweep them. Cleveland, I don't think is very good, and just give me the Mariners at home sweep.
Mariners 2-1 of the series. The Guardians will catch.
Have some conviction.
Tristan McKenzie's facing Emerson Hancock, the young, highly touted prospect for Seattle. Of course, another add to that star-studded rotation in Emerson Hancock. But yeah, I think McKenzie's going to catch the Mariners today and then throw it to Castillo and Kirby for the series win for Seattle. So I am giving Seattle and their amazing rotation the win over the AL Central club. All right. From that, we are going to turn it over to Tom, who's going to talk about Instagram. Thomas.
Listen, guys, if you we appreciate all the love and support here on the stream, but if you really want to also help us grow, head over to our Instagram. Corey Favs is truly the Instagram god. I made one reel, it got like 5 views, and no one cared about it. And then Corey just is dropping reels that get hundreds of thousands of views. He had his now infamous one, the Vegas vacation. We'll probably almost be at 4 million views by the end of this week. It's wild. A lot of funny stuff going on over there. So if you want some just good baseball memes, share them out with people. Head over to Empire State of Baseball on Instagram. Give our show a follow. You also can follow us individually at Corey Favs, at JR Pugs, at Rich J. Rivera, and myself at T. Wospil.
I'm trying to point. I can't. I'm getting screwed up because I'm looking down and I'm pointing the opposite way. If I point this way, I'm pointing at Tom. I couldn't do it. But thank you very much, Thomas, for that. Give us a follow on Instagram at Empire State of Baseball. All right, let's have some fun. Right off the rip of the season 3 premiere, it is time for a little head-to-head. This is a segment we've kicked off sporadically throughout the last couple of seasons of ESB, where we will just go player to player, position to position. Who's got the edge, the Mets or the Yankees? And for today's selection, what I'm doing is I'm going based off of Fangraphs and Roster Resource. Whoever they have as their primary player in said position, that's the player we're using. I'm not using anybody on the IL, nobody who's inactive. We're going with the current active rosters right now. So here we go. We're going to kick things off at the catching position with Francisco Alvarez, who's off to a great start to start the 2024 season, or Austin Wells. We're going to take it around the room. Corey Favs, Joe, Tom, and then I'll go for the wrap. Corey.
I'm going to go with Francisco Alvarez. And again, if you're a Yankee fan, you really like what Wells is going to do for this team, but I am going with the young power catcher in Francisco Alvarez for the Mets.
Yeah, no, listen, Alvarez is a different level of catcher. Wells is probably going to be a good average major league catcher. Francisco Alvarez has the potential to be Aldi Rushman level catcher in the big leagues. I mean, he is going to hit 30-plus home runs this year. He is even at this particular point going to make the Mets question whether he's going to be a catcher permanently going forward. That's how good I think the bat is for him. The ceiling is just through the roof for him, more so than Wells.
I don't think Alvarez is catching Rutschman. I think Adley is in a league of his own and will be in a league of his own, especially his defensive and how he handles pitching staff. But it is Francisco Alvarez. His bat is a game changer. Wells, love him so far, but at this point you got to go Alvarez.
I'm gonna mention this throughout and kind of shamelessly plug the fact that we did do top 10 rankings on our YouTube, and Francisco Alvarez, that's why Swift is the man right there. I love you, Swift. Francisco Alvarez was on our list. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, boys, I think he was in our number 6 spot. Wells did not make that list. I think it's going to be a big year for Wells. I think he's going to be great. But at this moment right now, and again, we're going to be doing this sporadically throughout the season when the teams and the rosters change. Right now, it is Alvarez with this great start and where he's projected to be. So Alvarez gets the edge here between the catchers. Now, first base, a little tougher. You got Pete Alonso. Again, another great start for Pete. And then Anthony Rizzo, right now hitting 267, coming off a great spring. So Corey Favs, who do you have here?
Listen, I have nothing but absolute respect for Anthony Rizzo and the career he's put forth. But if I'm building a team today and I had to pick between one of these two, I'm going with I'm going with Pete Alonso. I just hope that I'm saying Pete Alonso next year. That to me is the big question. They re-sign him in the offseason, but I'm going to go with Pete on this one.
Yeah, again, no disrespect to Rizzo. He was hurt last year. He's in, I think, his age 34 or 35 season this year. Pete's a perennial 40-plus, 45 home run hitter. You're going to go with a guy like Pete Alonso. He just brings just that instantaneous power that maybe is second to only Judge in the major leagues, who we'll get to in a little while. But the answer is Alonso.
Rizzo's the better defender. I think that is a factor here, but Alonso's bat is just such a game changer that Alonso gets the nod.
I can't work against the list that we just put out, so it's got to be Alonso here. So Pete right now has the advantage, and we're all, again, hoping that Rizzo has that bounce back year. He was off to such a great start before the collision in 2023. So let's try to avoid some thighs this time, Mr. Rizzo, okay? Let's stay healthy. All right, moving on to the second base position. We're going around the diamond here. And we have Jeff McNeil, who is our top of the conversation to kick off episode 78. And then Gleyber Torres, who's in his contract season. Corey Favs.
And this one, it's Gleyber Torres. And if we asked this question a couple years back, I would have said McNeil and moved on really quick. But McNeil is really on the downtrend, and Gleyber Torres really had a nice last year. He's the better player right now. I'm going to go with Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, I think 2022 McNeil makes this a very difficult conversation. Defensively, I'd rather have McNeil because he could play 5 different positions. Offensively, at this point, it's not even close with Gleyber Torres. So you're going to go Torres here. McNeil needs to rebound in a big way this year.
Yeah, I'm definitely not taking Jeff Soft to Sharman McNeil. Gleyber Torres all day.
Yes, I'm gonna make it 4 for 4 here. Gleyber Torres, 4 for 4.
We gotta get a good. We gotta get a good one here. There's a lot of routes so far.
Wait a minute. Did Wendy's took the damn 4 for 4 off the menu now? Not only with the biggie thing. Son of a bitch. All right, we move on to third base, and third base gets a little tougher here. You got Brett Beatty or Oswaldo Cabrera, who's been off to an amazing start to the 2024 year. Corey Favs.
At this moment, I'm actually going to go with an exact push, because I have to see enough from Beatty. Granted, I like the potential from Beatty. Don't get me wrong, but Beatty hasn't shown me enough to show that he's an everyday third baseman in the future. Not saying Cabrera is either, but right now I'm going with an even push. Ask me this question again at the end of May. I'll tell you which one's my firm pick. I'm going push.
I'm going to go with Brett Beatty simply for the fact that I don't think the Yankees have that much confidence in Oswaldo. They wouldn't have gone out and gotten John Birdie if they thought that he could handle the position full time. Now, he had a great series in Houston. I get that. But if I'm looking at who I want as my third baseman right now, I think Beatty has a much higher ceiling than Oswaldo, even if the floor is probably as low as Oswaldo's is himself at the moment.
I think if the question is who would I rather have on my team, I honestly might take Oswaldo just because of his versatility. But if we are just saying as my starting third baseman, I think there's still enough promise in Beatty, just because he didn't start on fire like a Francisco Alvarez did, that he still has a bit more of that pedigree that he could become like an all-star caliber player. So I'll take Beatty.
Beatty has so much to prove, and as we mentioned on this show, I mean, hopefully he plays with a chip on his shoulder, because I think this is a make or break for Brett. He's got to show you a little bit of what he's been touted for, or else he might be spelled at that position by a Mark Vientos. He might be sent as a trade chip for something bigger. At this current moment, I got to go Waldo. Waldo's been killing it right now.
Beatty just made a great play at third, by the way.
To Tom's point, good call there, Joe. To Tom's point, yes, I would rather have Oswaldo on the team for the role that he was going to have entering the season. Now, what he's doing is incredible, but how many times have we seen these electric starts from players that would fizzle out within a week or two? This is like your perfect, like you pick this guy up first week of fantasy baseball, disappoints you the next week. So I got to go Oswaldo Cabrera, my guy. And Donnie, just to make a note, I did prompt this before. I'm going based off of the starting player that Fangraphs has. So it's currently not John Birdie at third base. It is Oswaldo Cabrera, even though Birdie will at some point take that position unless Cabrera just goes full Barry Bonds for the rest of the month. All right, we're going to move on to the shortstop position. And we have Francisco Lindor or Anthony Volpe. It's deja vu all over again, the same matchup we had in the 2023 opening season. Corey Favs, what do you got?
Oh, it's Francisco Lindor. I mean, Lindor was a top 3 shortstop on our all shortstop ranking this list. And again, Volpe, very promising young player. I think he'll have a much better year this year and year 2. But right now, it is without a doubt Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, Francisco Lindor is probably the second best shortstop in all of baseball. I think the Yankees are hoping and trying to take as much pressure off Volpe as humanly possible. Let him develop into what they think he could have been a couple years ago. I think they think he needs to be out of the spotlight, out of the pressure, which the Yankees are doing a good job of selling that right now. It's about Soto. It's about Judge. It's about that top of the lineup. So I think Volpe is on the upswing, hopefully. But Lindor is one of the best premier shortstops in all of baseball.
It's boring, but again, it's Lindor. He is again. He's a top 2-3 shortstop in baseball. Volpe hopefully will be one day, but at this moment, he's not.
Yeah, this is the boring one. It's Lindor, hoping the best for Volpe here. Oh, another quick shout out to my guy Joey Banga Jones, my guy. All right, we're gonna move on to the next part of our discussion, which is the outfield. So we're encompassing the whole outfield. We're not just doing left to left field, center to center field. We're just taking the whole outfield. This is gonna be a quick discussion. I'd have to think. So Corey Favs, take it away.
Listen, if we split it up, the Mets would get 1 vote with Nimmo, but when you group it together, it is an absolute no contest. I mean, it's the Yankees. You have just one of Judge or Soto in there. It's a no contest. You have 2 of them in there, forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, you have 2 of the top 3-4 outfielders in the game, depending on, where you put Soto in that ranking. But Judge is the second best or best, if you ask Tom, outfielder in baseball, only to Acuna's bait there. Nimmo's a great player. Nimmo is a top 10 outfielder in baseball. I think we have him at number 10, but he's not enough to make up for the fact that Bader is a Yankee reject that they replaced for a guy like Verdugo.
Close your ears.
And Marte, sorry, Sierra. And Marte is obviously an aging guy that we have no idea what we're going to get from him this year. So it is the Yankees all the way.
Listen, I think it's the Mets. I think they have a lot of promise. April Fool's, losers. It's the Yankees.
About time somebody realized that April Fool's. That was a bad one. This is in fact, becoming a dad now. Hey, listen, give him a break. Yankees, keep it moving. All right, let's move on to the designated hitter role. Now, again, in a week or so, it's going to be JD Martinez for the New York Mets. But for now, it's DJ Stewart. So it's DJ Stewart up against Giancarlo Stanton here. Corey Favs.
I'm going to go with Giancarlo. I mean, he's got the history. I don't care how much he struggled over the last couple of years. I'm taking Stanton over Stewart. Now, if JD Martinez is in the equation, I'm going JD Martinez easily. But when in this type of matchup, you go with the proven career player over a continuous rotation.
Yeah. Who would I if salary is an issue, I'm not taking Stanton. But Stanton's the better player. I still think Stanton is a bad player at this point in his career. I don't care about the weight, the skinniness, anything. That's irrelevant to me. He still can't run. His hitting has gone off the rails. He's a bad eye. He's still better than DJ Stewart, but not by much.
Listen, the skinny Stanton, thin Carlo is the thing. He was able to tag up on a fly ball to center field in Houston, and he was able to score on a sac fly. Things that you would, and he also had a hustle double.
Oh, his hit to Dallas is fairness.
But we all saw last year that play when he ran home. It looks like he was walking like an elderly woman. Like he is in better shape. His at-bats are still a little rough to watch, but
it looks like he looks like he's went from having a grand piano on his back to just a piano on his back now. So Stanton, then Carlo, is our pick here. And we're going to move on to pitching. We have 2 more positions to cover. And again, just grouping it together, we have the starting pitching staffs right now, which both teams obviously lost their number 1 pitcher in Kodai Senga and Garrett Cole. So we are going with the current mix. We're going with 4 here. Actually, I am missing a pitcher on the Mets side. That's my bad. I think I'm missing Hauser on that side. I was supposed to have.
Who cares?
Yeah, McGill just went to the IL.
Corey Favs, what do you got?
At this juncture, I mean, the New York Yankees have the best pitcher in the group in Marcus Stroman. I think when you throw Cole and Senga in there, it still favors the Yankees with Cole. I mean, Cole would have been our number 1 ranked pitcher. I am going with the Yankees. And again, I know we still have to see what Rodon does this year. Nestor Cortez, is he going to bounce back this year? Again, all TBD. But right now, I'm going with the Yankees because they have the best pitcher of the bunch in Marcus Stroman.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, this Mets team fooled a lot of people in spring training. Corey Favaloro to be one of them. Sorry. But after that disgusting disgrace of a performance that Luis Severino put on in Game 2, there is not a rotation in baseball I wouldn't take over the Mets. I have very, very little confidence. Listen, Minaya pitched well today.
1 hitter.
Quintana is a good number 4 starter. He's going to eat innings. But even with the injury histories with Cortez and Rodon, I still think I would take 3 of the Yankee pitchers before I take my first Met pitcher at this point.
Joe, you took the words out of my mouth. I'm disgusted with what Corey Favs has already changed his
bold prediction
from having the Mets having a top 10 ERA in all of baseball, and 3 games in, he is abandoning them.
You know what, Corey? It was only the second wildest prediction on the show. So
yeah, I know. Seriously, you got away with that because of Rich's ludicrous prediction.
I wasn't talking about that.
But yeah, listen, Corey, you got to believe what you stand for. So I would like to see you go back and take the Mets rotation. It is the Yankees rotation. That is the correct answer.
All right. And yes, I got to go starting rotation as well. I lost my place right there. All right. Finally, the bullpen. I didn't want to put all 8 of these guys at the bottom, but you get the picture here. The Mets headlined by Diaz, Ottavino, Raley. The Yankees having Clay Holmes, Cardiac Clay, as we like to call him, Ian Hamilton, John Loizaga, Corey Favs. What do you got to say to our 95 in the house?
I'll tell you what. I mean, the New York Yankees bullpen as a whole, I would take over the Mets bullpen, but the Mets have the best reliever in baseball in Edwin Diaz, and for that reason and that reason alone, I am going with the New York Mets. Give me those trumpets in the 9th inning. There's nobody I would want better in baseball right now.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is if your life is on the line, you're taking the Mets bullpen because at the end of the day, Diaz is the final guy. I don't trust Clay Holmes. Listen, the Yankee bullpen has actually undergone some changes. I think it's gotten weaker than it was last year. They lost a couple of guys. They lost a guy in Peralta. There was another one, Rich. Remind me quick. I'm losing his name. That they lost.
I mean, they've lost players to injuries as well. Like they still have Tommy Kahnle, Trevino, Scott Efros on the shelf.
One in free agency.
Michael King went.
They traded Michael
King. Johnny Brito.
So the depth of the Yankee bullpen right now is a question mark. Holmes is fine. He's a good closer, but I don't trust him with my life on the line. I trust Edwin Diaz with my life on the line. And not for nothing, Brooks really had a hell of a year for the Mets last year. So that 1-2 punch is better than the Yankees 1-2 punch at the end.
Yeah, but the issue is you have to have a lead in the 9th to use your closer. So
we'll leave that for the rest of the season.
At this point, listen, I think the answer is obvious. I think it is the Yankees bullpen. The Yankees have proven the one steady thing they've had for the last 5-6 years is to put together a great bullpen. Guys come, guys leave, and they're always in it. They always have one of the best ERAs. Clay Holmes, yeah, he puts some guys on base, but that's because he throws his power sinker. He's not a strikeout guy. Edwin Diaz might be the premier strikeout pitcher in all of baseball. So he doesn't let guys on. Holmes is gonna have guys get on because people hit his ball and hit into the ground, and sometimes they get through. It's gonna happen. I think the Yankees bullpen, top to bottom, is a better bullpen. Yes, Diaz is the better closer. But the Yankees just prove they can find an Ian Hamilton that no one wants. They can find a Clay Holmes that no one wants and turn them into premier setup men and premier closers. It is the whole system in play here. The Yankees bullpen is the best bullpen.
I'm going Diaz and the Mets here. And even though the Yankees bullpen has undergone the changes as Joe alluded to, and listen, you're looking at players that are just gotten to the mix, guys like Nick Birdie, and Ian Hamilton stepping into a bigger role. Guys that have been found from essentially obscurity, which is a topic we've covered at length here on the show of how the Yankees do a great job in finding these relievers over time, guys like Wandy Peralta, Lucas Licky, and turned them into something in this bullpen. The Mets do have some stalwarts in the back end. Adam Ottavino has been an effective back end reliever for years. Brooks Raley was a great acquisition for them, and even they made a couple of moves. They made a couple of sneaky moves here this offseason as well. Like, Jake Diekman, Jorge Lopez, Michael Thompson.
I like
these are guys who had some solid seasons with their respective ball clubs. I think top to bottom, with the exception of Johan Ramirez, who doesn't know how to throw properly at a batter.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got to factor that in.
Bullpen altogether.
Pitched him into the ground yesterday.
I'll give him credit. Yeah, 3 innings. I'll take it.
I don't care if I'm a traitor. Damn it. You gotta take a step back for a quick second here. But let's throw it over to our X, and that is head-to-head, so hopefully you enjoyed that. It's going to get a little more juicier when we get into the crux of the season. A lot of these, obviously we're in a small sample size right now. We don't know where these teams are going to be in about a couple of months' time, so it's going to be a lot more fun when we get there. So head-to-head, we'll see in a couple of months. But let's talk about X, and talking X is going to be my man, Joe. How you doing?
Yes, you can join our 3,000-plus followers and follow us at ESB Podcast on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can also follow our subsidiary accounts, which is very important in season because when we are watching the games, we are tweeting from those. So the Yankees are covered by Mr. Tom Wospil and Mr. Richard Rivera here at ESB NYY.
Yes, sir.
The Mets account is at ESB NYM. That's covered by me, myself, and I, and Corey Favaloro as well. You can also follow our personal accounts. Myself at JR Pugs, Corey at G Gory, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Wospil, all on X. Give us a follow. Make sure you're on there. And guys, we love our teams. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it fun. We love disagreement. We love discourse. But when we get to the point where it's slurs and other things, you're gonna get blocked. You're gonna get banned. Don't be those guys. We're all trying to have fun and enjoy our teams and escape our life by watching sports.
Yep. And we'll drop the suspension hammer, though. So we've done it for the first time. We couldn't believe we did it, but we had to do it. Had to take care of business there. So, Thomas, you got some business to take care of, though, with our pals over at RHOBACK. Let's talk RHOBACK.
Sure do. And currently wearing one of the new items from the Azalea collection this year. The Masters coming up next week. This is the Spring Azalea hoodie, similar to the one the other week, but this is a blue one. I like this one. Quite a lot. So yeah, Masters coming up next week. They sell the Azalea collection out there. If you love golf, there's a lot of great polos, Q-zips, hoodies, a lot of nice women's things as well in there. But baseball fans, they just came out with a lot of new baseball themed polos. They got the 7th inning stretch, has baseball, Cracker Jacks, hot dog, all that kind of stuff. They have the spring ball, which has palm trees and baseball. And the one I really want to hit on, though, is Yankee fans. They have something called the Bleacher Creature. So it's going to have some familiar colors, some navy blue, some white, some dare I say, road gray, has some baseball bats on it. So if you're a Yankee fan, I feel like it's like a must. It's a must look at, must order polo there for you. If you head over to RHOBACK.com, you could use promo code TWASPL15 to get yourself 15% off your first order. If you've ordered from Ford, just use a new email. It's all good. RHOBACK.com. And again, that Bleacher Creature polo is, if you're a Yankee fan, it's a must. It's a must look at. Promo code TWASPL15.
It's not the most Lisp City. It's not the most ethical way to do it. But yes, to Thomas's point, make those emails. Just tell them we didn't tell you to do that. So, all righty, let's finish this show up with some ESB games. It's been a while. Obviously, we ended our season 2 with our last ESB game, and throughout the season, we're going to end every episode with a game bit. And for today, our game is a game called Trick of the Trade, where we're going to put up an old Mets and Yankees trade. And we're going to put up, we're just going to put up the details of it with one component missing. It's up to the rest of the hosts to guess what is that missing component. And we'll be looking into the chat as well. Well, not our guesses.
We will not be.
We will not be.
Go on private.
Joe will be
Crew.
Joe, you have our questions, so you're going to monitor the chat. So Corey, Tom, and I will keep our eyes off the chat for now. Joe, what's our first trade looking like?
Yes. All right. So in April 1st, an April Fool's Day trade that wasn't a fool.
Look at that.
April 1st of 1988, the Mets sent this player to the Dodgers for Craig Shipley. So we'll go around the room. Everybody will get a guess, and then I'll give a hint to our guys here on what the answer is. So
I just want to mention also new. Go on, Rich. You got it.
So just for clarification for those who are new, we're just guessing who the Dodgers acquired in this trade. They sent Craig Shipley to the Mets. We're trying to guess who the Dodgers acquired in this deal.
And then also new for this year, we have implemented a 3-strike rule. So we will not just be rattling off every player who we could remember on the Dodgers from the 80s. And frankly, for all of us, is probably about 5 different players. So there wouldn't be a lot there, but we are not going to just be rolling through them. You get 3 strikes and you're out.
Yep.
Correct.
All right, let's go with let's start it off with Todd Zeal.
No.
I don't know the answer off the top of my head, so I'm just trying to think guys that the Mets traded away in the 80s or Dodgers who came up in the 90s. I'm just going to throw this out. I have no idea. Lee Mazzilli.
No.
I'm just going to go with old Mets and say Jesse Orosco.
Incorrect. All right, first hint. This player played catcher.
Catcher.
He was a catcher.
Todd Hundley.
Incorrect.
Any correct guesses in the chat?
That'd be after.
There is a correct guess in the chat.
Oh, okay. So I'm up to 2 Ks.
88.
Oh, yeah. I'm just thinking of young catchers who came up with the Dodgers, and I know it's not the answer because, I mean, Mike Piazza did not start with the Mets. So it's not Mike Piazza, but I'm just trying to think of Dodger catchers.
I mean, I'm just going to say Gary Carter. It's not right, but.
No, incorrect.
Gary Carter is incorrect.
Todd Pratt.
Incorrect. Second hint.
He's all too.
This player is most famous for not his playing career, but his coaching career, including being the manager of one of the Yankees' biggest rivals.
So, okay, quick question. Is there a third hint? Because if there is, I'm going to abstain until I hear a third hint for my third strike. Or is this it?
He is he is a currently employed coach in the majors. That's your hint.
Is it John Gibbons?
It is John Gibbons.
When you said Yankee rival, I was thinking first thing that came to my mind was Red Sox, and then all of a sudden you said current, and I think of the Mets with John Gibbons.
I was thinking of putting it. This guy is actually within the Mets organization now, but I felt that would have given it away. Sierra did have the correct answer.
Nice.
Oh yeah, Sierra. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. All right.
So Sierra did good there. But it is John Gibbons, who did manage a game for the Mets.
What were his actual career numbers?
Not good. He
bad.
I just had it up. He played very low. He played a little bit in 86 and a little bit in 84 for the Mets. He actually never played for the Dodgers.
Wow.
His last in-game action was the Mets in 1986.
John Gibbons.
So John Gibbons got a ring. He might have got a ring because I think as long as you do something for the team, you get a ring.
Also, you said he has a job right now. What's his current job?
He is bench coach for the Mets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at that, John Gibbons.
They brought him in this last offseason.
Again, try to make it relevant, not only for the date, but for the current.
I thought you were going for the April Fool's date. All right. So the Yankee side of the house, we're going to have a lot of answers here, I'm sure. But here we go. All right. So the Yankees acquired Tino Martinez and Jim Messier and a third player in a deal with the Seattle Mariners on December 1995.
Jeff Nelson.
You're no fun, Thomas. Yes, it is Jeff.
Give me my point.
Oh, come on. That was crazy, Richie.
I am here to defend my crown.
Nelson. Jesus, Tom. My God. All right. Next time for that, I'm just going to go with Russ Davis. I'm going to go Russ Davis and say, go F yourselves. Damn it. It's Jeff Nelson. Jeff Nelson is correct. Tom, in record timing, trying to get this show done with not even another minute.
I'm trying to win, people. Trying to win.
Goodness. Couldn't even get there to a correct. I couldn't even get to a guess in the chat yet. All right. Good for you, Thomas. Point for Tom and a point for Corey Favs to start off a long season of ESB games. But as we wrap up, just a reminder, we will be back next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. That is for April the 8th for number 79. And April 15th, going to be a fun show. It's going to be our subscriber giveaway show here on Empire State of Baseball. The first time we are doing that here on our program. As we get closer, we're going to announce what that giveaway is going to entail, how to enter, and all that fun stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun coming up. And my guy, of course, Nithin Ramatandra. Shout out to you, Nithin, always giving us some love here. Our upcoming events for baseball players, April 13th, Mariano Rivera at the Avenel Performing Arts Center. April 14th, Harrison Bader. There you go, Sierra. April 21st, Doc Good. And April 27th, Jose Canseco. And April 28th, Edwin Diaz. So a hell of a lineup right there from Nithin and the folks over that are affiliated with the Woodbridge Brewing Company. Give them a follow and some love. But we're going to wrap this thing up, as always, with our thank you train. I will kick it over to Corey Favs to get us started. And, Corey, you're going to close us at the very end. So, Corey Favs, go for it.
I just want to thank everyone who's been tuning in over the last 2 seasons and starting to join us here in year 3. Thank you again. You're all who make it fun. So thank you, everyone who's tuning in.
Joe?
No, thank you for everybody tuning in. I think we got to 96 today live viewers between X, YouTube, and a lonely Twitch viewer. We appreciate it all, and hopefully I can speak out a win tonight.
Don't check it in from Twitch.
Thank you for making me feel something again.
Always with you, huh? It's always got to be something. All right, folks. Well, no, thank you very much, and I really do appreciate all the 95 plus of you that were in the building. But Corey Favs, wrap us up.
Yeah, listen, again, thank you again, everybody. We will be back next week, episode 79 on April 8th. But until then, enjoy the baseball each and every night. Take care, everyone.